Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the WaxMode channel. Today's video, I've got a couple products from Lithium Auto Care. I've got their Gloss Sauce Wax Protectant and their Seal Squeal, which is their paint sealant. I'm going to give you guys my first impressions of what it's like working with these two products. We're going to do an initial water behavior test to see how hydrophobic they are in the short term. I'm going to try topping them with Luster Lube, which is their spray detailer, to see how that works in conjunction on top of these two products, as well as trying to do a stripping test using Poorboy's Rolled Strip Down to see how they hold up after trying to actually remove these two products from the paint chemically. So certainly a lot in store for this video, guys. Let's just dive on into it. Now, Lithium actually reached out to me a couple of months ago wanting to send their product line off for me to test and play around with, and I held off for so long. And once I went to the Turtle Wax event, once I accepted that invitation, that just opened the cat's bag. So I'm going to start working with products that companies are sending to me. I'm not going to do sponsored videos or paid advertisements or paid promotion. I don't have the reach to be able to do that type of video, or necessarily the desire at this point. But I'm not going to tell companies no anymore. If they want to send me products to play around with without any expectations for me to do videos, I'll gladly accept products now. It gives me more access to products that I can't afford. And here you've got Seal Squeal, which is $40 for 16 ounces. Gloss Sauce is also the same price, $40 for 16 fluid ounces. So that's definitely high up there on the enthusiast level of pricing for paint protectants. And so this is not a value-based product line. This is more based on guys that are really enthusiasts, the car show guys that like to work on their paint. This is their therapeutic release. This is, for guys that enjoy working on their cars on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. This is the type of product line that is more targeted to, in my opinion. Now, to explain my prep here for the water test, I've prepped the paint using Meguiar's M210 Ultra Pro Finish and Polish. I followed that up with Clean Strips Prep All as my panel wipe to remove any polishing oils left behind by the polish. And on the left half of the hood, I applied Gloss Sauce, and on the right half, I've applied Seal and Squeal. Now, these were both applied 5 full days ago on the paint. Now, for Seal and Squeal, they do list the 12 to 24 hour cure period, where you want to keep it out of the elements. You want to keep it from getting a lot of moisture on it in order to get the maximum bond to the paint. It is SaO2 based, so you also want to wait that long before topping it with, if your intent is to top it with Gloss Sauce, you want to wait that 12 to 24 hour period. On off for both of these products is super easy. What I did notice on Gloss Sauce is it did leave slight residuals behind, where you can see it a little bit here in the sun, where you kind of see that waviness, or it's not streaking, it's a little bit of waviness in the sunlight. But it didn't feel heavy or anything like that, applying, removing it. It felt super clean. I didn't see that waviness with Seal and Squeal. It felt like it buffed off a bit more crisp. The application instructions for both the products is to apply them, let them sit for about 20 to 30 minutes on the paint, and then go ahead and buff it off, which is good. So you can go ahead and do the whole car and then come back and start buffing the products off. But for any of the waviness in Gloss Sauce, what I can do is try and adjust that time maybe either up or down a little bit to see if I can try and get it to buff off a little bit more crispy, just like Seal and Squeal. Both of these can be applied by hand using an applicator pad or using a DA polisher. If you've got a soft foam-based pad on the DA polisher, you can apply both of these using that. And what's interesting about Seal and Squeal is Seal and Squeal, I don't know if it has abrasives in the formula. This can seriously knock down a lot of oxidation and contamination in the paint. And that's really good for guys that aren't necessarily working on perfected paint. If you've got light oxidation, if you've got light swirling and stuff, you're definitely going to benefit from the cleaning ability inside of Seal and Squeal. Now, taking a look at the water test here, you can see right away that Seal and Squeal is going to have more hydrophobic performance compared to Gloss Sauce. Gloss Sauce is actually on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of hydrophobicity. And that's going to turn away a lot of guys right off the bat, because if you're like me, guys that are fans of my channels know that I'm a big hydrophobic addict. I really like the fastest water sheeting, the tightest beading. I like seeing that, because when I use the blower, it just shoots all the water right off the panel. But you can still have protectants that are working on the paint that don't necessarily give you a crazy hydrophobic surface. And as long as they're not advertising that on the bottle, which Gloss Sauce doesn't advertise any sort of hydrophobics on the bottle itself, then you can't really knock the product for something that it's not advertising. And so that was my biggest complaint with products that advertise, extreme hydrophobicity that just don't deliver on that. That's when I'll go out there and start criticizing that feature where it builds up my expectations to a certain level and then it just crushes you when it doesn't perform the way that you expected it to. So Gloss Sauce's main focus is on the gloss. It's on the type of depth and the finish that's left behind on the paint. The hurdle that Lithium has to overcome with Gloss Sauce is obviously $40 is a premium price for a protectant that's not going to give a lot of guys that hydrophobic performance that they're looking for. And maybe Lithium has another product in their lineup that's going to deliver on crazy, insane hydrophobics for those guys that are looking to quench that thirst. In this clip here, I've gone ahead and pulled the panel back inside the garage to do a post-first wash gloss measurement test. What I want to showcase here is we've gotten rid of all that waviness that was on the Gloss Sauce side with just the first wash with CarPro Reset. So it's anything that's in the paint that you don't think that you can buff off with a microfiber towel, just go ahead and leave it and it should work itself out of the paint after the first wash that you do. Right, in this clip here, this is just going to be me doing the gloss measurement test after the first wash with CarPro Reset. So a lot of guys are not familiar with the process of what it's like testing for gloss. So what I usually do is I take a temperature reading of the paint because temperature can have a big impact on the type of gloss that's being read from the gloss meter. The meter that I'm working with is the Novo-Gloss Trio from RoPoint, and I have a calibration tile that's set to 93.7 gloss units. If I get readings in between about 93.6 to 93.8, I go ahead and I accept that on my calibration tile, because it's very likely that after I get done doing my initial measurements on this section here, that if I go back and check with the tile, that it'll jump back down to about 93.7, right where it should be. So right now I'm reading off the Gloss Sauce side, and I want to select an area on the paint that's going to be either slightly convex to the base of the gloss meter or perfectly flat as I can get it. If I have anything that's slightly concave, that's going to give me a super inconsistent measurement range. And so where are we at here? You can see we're reading in between a range of 96.1 to about 97.0 gloss units. So right here I've shifted over to the Seal Squeal side, and I have to keep it, very close to the middle of the panel, even though, that's where my tape line is, right down the middle. If I go any more over to the right, I start hitting that slightly concave angle portion of the paint, and I get really bad readings anytime I hit an angle like that. So where are we at here in this range? We're anywhere from about 96.2 to about 96.8 on the readings. So we're pretty much at identical gloss measurement readings between both products here after a first wash on highly polished paint. But this is just some insight into the manner at which I do my gloss measurement testing. And right now I'll go back to the gloss calibration tile to check the calibration. And you can see here I'm right back down to 93.7, which is exactly where this calibration tile is certified for, 93.7 gloss units. All right, moving on to Luster Lube. So I've done a 50-50 on both sections of the paint. I've topped Gloss Sauce and Seal Squeal with Luster Lube. This is their premium spray detailer. This is also their clay lubricant. This is 16 ounces for $22, so it's a bit more expensive than your standard spray detailer for sure. I believe this one has gone through an updated formula, so this is the latest one that I'm working with right here. This one is SiO2 infused. I've seen guys working with the pink formula. I'm not sure if that's going to give you the same exact performance of what you're seeing with this one. You can get Luster Lube in their clay bar kit as well. That's going to run you $33. And so for an additional $11 or so, that's going to be a good deal because you definitely get a decent amount of clay with that kit. So if you're thinking about getting Luster Lube and you don't have a clay bar, definitely get the clay bar kit. You're going to need the clay to actually remove all the embedded contaminants in your paint before you start waxing and sealing or polishing the paint as well. That's going to be how you're going to bring out the maximum durability in whatever wax or sealant that you're working with. So you can see on the top portion of the hood here, I've just gone ahead and applied Luster Lube on top of Gloss Sauce and Seal Squeal. On the bottom half, I've left them, the two wax and sealants by themselves without any Luster Lube applied. And you can see how crazy hydrophobic this product is. And this is without a cure time as well. I've not gone ahead and allowed Luster Lube to cure any on the paint, I've just gone ahead and done an immediate rinse, and you can see it's still giving us incredible hydrophobic performance right away. So this is where product synergy comes into play here, is now we're supplementing the low hydrophobic performance of Gloss Sauce. We're getting all the gloss and the great ease of use out of Gloss Sauce, but for those of us that are looking for that hydrophobic thirst, now we can just apply Luster Lube on top and get the best of both worlds. And this stuff was nice and slick. It left a really good finish. Easy to use in direct sunlight. I didn't have any problems with streaking. This is definitely a very capable product. It's got a lot of lubrication for claying, but it's almost too good of a performer to use as a clay lubricant, because when I clay paint, I use and I go through a lot of lube. And you almost want to save it for using this as your main form of maintenance for either Gloss Sauce or Seal Squeal, rather than using and dumping a lot of it down when you're claying paint. So I think this was a very smart option for Lithium to include as a part of the product line. I think this melds well, or is going to meld well greatly with the other two products that are protectants. So this as a maintenance product, I think is, right now, my first impressions are awesome. You can see the water just blows right off the paint. I don't have to go over it with a drying towel because the surface is that hydrophobic that it'll shoot right off. Now, when I tried to do that with the other sections here, it takes longer. You know, I've got water that wants to cling to the surface more, so it's not as quick. So if I've got large areas like this across the entire paint panel, it's going to take me longer to get a cleaner drying session. So I usually follow up with a drying towel after going over the paint with a blower with surfaces that are less hydrophobic. Whereas, if the surface is crazy hydrophobic with a lot of the coatings that I work with, I don't even have to pull out the drying towel. All right, moving on to the chemical resistance portion of this test. So we're going to take Poorboy's World Strip Down, which is a dedicated wax and sealant stripper. We're going to see how difficult each product is to try and remove chemically from the surface. And as I always say, this is not an indication of how durable a product is going to be in the long term. This is just give us more insight into the product's capabilities to be resistant against a dedicated wax or sealant remover. So we're going to get some insight into the product's performance, at least in some form or fashion. So I've gone ahead and rinsed the paint. This is the way that you use Poorboy's World Strip Down. When the paint's still wet, go ahead and spray it directly to the surface. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my wash mitt using CarPro Reset, and then wash the paint with Poorboy Strip Down still on the surface. And I could see when I was spraying this on the paint, I could see that tape line right down the middle. So I'm expecting a difference in performance just based on that evidence alone before even working this into the paint. But with Seal Squeal as a sealant, they list up to 12 months of durability on the bottle. If you go to the website lists up to 6 months of durability. So there's a little bit of a difference in what they're listing on the website compared to the bottle. That's definitely a lot of durability, though. If you get 6 months out of a paint sealant, that's pretty good durability. That's actually really good durability. If I get 6 months and it's still has life left on the paint, I'd be very, very pleased with that type of performance. Here's the thing about durability, though. The same thing with the deal about gloss and the deal about chemical resistance testing is, at the end of the day, you've got to find a set of products that is going to include some form of maintenance. And as long as you have a good base product, your maintenance is going to prolong durability and gloss and slickness and hydrophobics. I just feel like sometimes we place too much value on properties that can be prolonged using toppers and maintaining them on a regular basis. But I say that living down here in Central Florida, where I'm not missing out on being able to touch my car for 6 months out of the year due to extreme cold. But right here in the test with Strip Down, we can see that Seal Squeal has a clear advantage in being able to be more resistant against it compared to the Gloss Sauce sections. You can even see the Luster Lube section on the top half of the Gloss Sauce has been greatly degraded as well. So we're not going to have very much chemical resistance with Luster Lube compared to the type of performance that we're going to get out of the base layer of Seal Squeal. And this is actually pretty impressive resistance, because I've tested a lot of stuff against Strip Down from Poorboy's World in the short term, and it's definitely knocked down a lot of different products. And you can see it's knocking Seal Squeal down a little bit, but the night and day difference between this and Gloss Sauce is evident right away. This right here is the second application of Poorboy Strip Down. And then what I'm going to show after this is I'm going to dry the paint down. I'm going to grab the isopropyl alcohol out. I use a 15% dilution of IPA, and I'm going to apply that to the paint. We're going to see if we can get any sort of revival of the water behavior after doing the strip down test. But even during this rinse right here, I can see we still have a little bit of life left showing through from Seal Squeal compared to Gloss Sauce. And after I'll wipe down with isopropyl alcohol, you can see again we still have that clear designator. It's a little bit faster on the Seal Squeal side compared to the Gloss Sauce side. So there's still a little bit of life left for Seal Squeal even after 2 applications of the strip down from Poorboy's World. Alright, so trying to wrap this video up here, I'll do my final thoughts segment of my first impressions of working with these products. Again, I enjoy working with them. I think they're very easy on-off. They smell amazing. I love Gloss Sauce has like a cherry scent to it. Seal Squeal has kind of like a grape scent to it. They smell fantastic. I like the bottle design. I like the Lithium brand design. I like the barbecue style bottles, but the problem that Lithium is going to be facing is just the sheer amount of volume of other products on the market that are going to come at lower price points. And you can see I've got the Grills, I've got the Adams. Ethos sent over to me their new Pro Ceramic Wax. I want to really take a look at this one and see how this one compares to the performance that we're seeing out of Seal Squeal. What else I grab out here? I grabbed Chemical Guys. I got their Butter Wet Wax and Jet Seal. I never got decent durability out of Jet Seal, so I would select something like Seal Squeal over Jet Seal because both of those are the same price point. Butter Wet Wax, though, is a low price point geared towards gloss, less on durability, less on hydrophobics. Colonite 845 Insulator Wax, a great value-based product. Pretty decent on-off, good durability, awesome hydrophobics in the short term. But what I like about Lithium and what they did that was smart is they supplemented us with an awesome hydrophobic monster out of Luster Lube that doesn't really require a curing time to get us that crazy hydrophobic behavior, guys. You can use it with the clay bar. I would not be able to get Gloss Sauce or Seal Squeal without having Luster Lube as my routine maintenance product to quench my hydrophobic thirst. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and smash on that like button. Maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already for additional content coming up in the future. My subscribers, get yourselves down in the comment section below. Let me know your feedback. I love responding to you guys. Let me know your product recommendations as well. And if you guys are interested in trying any of these products out, make sure you check below in the description. I'll have links set up so where if you click those links and make any purchases, that helps support the channel for additional testing, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.